Yes, this is Denise Fitzpatrick, fighter for civil rights, an advocate for equality. I was speaking with someone, and they were telling me that they had recently had an eviction from their property. Let me give you the title of this video first. I need to stop and just going in and talking without saying what the video is. And since I'm not broadcasting on Facebook on the Facebook video site there, I am doing it from my phone right now. And I want to say the title of this video is, what can you do to keep from being ever evicted again? So let me start here again. There is something called the implied warranty of habitability. And of course, different states may call it something else. And most states have the implied warranty of habitability. And what that is, even though, like I said, some may call it something else, what it is that when you move into an apartment or house for rent, the management is implying that it's free of infestations, that it is safe otherwise, and fit for human habitation, as opposed to unfit for human habitation. Normally that means that the electrical wiring has to be together. You have to have, your running water, no visible infestations or no infestations. There's something in some states called patent and latent defects. There's some you can see and some defects you can't until you move in. That is why it's important to do a move-in inspection. And then if you see something that was not present when you moved in, then you will let the landlord know. I would say by certified mail return receipt for proof that you sent it. Even though some states say you don't have to send it by mail, you could tell them verbally. I wouldn't do that because you got to go proving that you said it and all of that. But certified return receipt, that type of mail, they have to sign to receive it. You'll get the return receipt back proving, it's like a green card in this state, North Carolina, but you'll get a card back proving that the person signed. You'll see where they signed for it, and you get that receipt that proves that. To me, that's the safest way to send something out so that you do have proof that you told the landlord. Many of them, of course, will say you didn't tell them, or they didn't this, or they didn't the other. I sent one out for reasonable accommodation request, and the assistant housing director still tried to say she didn't get it. But of course, she hung herself because it was signed by her organization. Even though she lied and said that she didn't know the person had signed for it, it didn't matter whether she knew them or not. The point is that her organization signed for it. I had the return receipt sitting in front of me, so she hung herself. And then that case was the same case that I've been talking about, the housing discrimination, that was a part of it too, where the denial of reasonable accommodation requests were also a part of the case, were violations of the Fair Housing Amendment Act of 1988. And when I spoke to the person recently, they were saying that they did get evicted, and that they, I think there was eviction was, because I talked to somebody else who was in writing, but this particular one was infested with, one was infested with, he said, mice or something on the other end. Anyway, in that same state, that was a violation of the warranty, implied warranty of habitability. So this person actually stopped paying rent. Now, in some states, you can't stop paying rent. You have to pay into the escrow of the court until the landlord is forced to take care of the repairs. And then some states that have something called a repair and deduct, which means you can take care of the repairs yourself and deduct it from the rent. And then in some states, I think I covered that already. So in this particular situation, the person stopped paying the rent and ended up getting an eviction notice. The person didn't answer it, which was the first mistake. The second thing, the person had continued to pay, but they didn't do the repairs, and the person stopped paying and ended up getting evicted. I hate to hear cases like that. That's why I always tell people that I talk to know the landlord-tenant statutes, to know your rights. You don't go into renting something and not know the rights that goes with being a tenant. That is one of the biggest mistakes I have learned over the years when renting a place. You just don't do that. You don't have to be evicted again. Because when you move in, you need to do, and this is a standard thing here, as I said, for each state it has something somewhat different, but these are basics. That's usually the way it is in most states. And of course, you can, if you want, you can ask me some questions. That's what I like to do, research, and this is what I am as a civil rights fighter, especially against housing discrimination and all of that. So, you can ask me questions and say, well, have you did any research on my state? So right now I'm just talking the basic, or what's usually covered by most states. And you move in, you do the move-in inspection. You do the moving. I was telling somebody, let me stop for a minute. I was telling somebody earlier that normally, or most times rather, you probably will pay rent at some point, because landlords are not, what I've learned and what I've heard and experienced myself, whatever others say, most of the time it's something that they have not done or should be doing or didn't do in enough time, the time required by law. It's usually some kind of way you can get them, and it's good to be up on it, because they're greedy for money, what I have come into contact with over the years. And I don't play with no landlord, and I hate to see anybody else done any kind of way, when most times they really have something against the landlord. They can avoid an eviction. You can avoid the eviction if you do your move-in inspection. You let them know right away about what needs to be done, and I recommend certified return receipt. You let them know that. You keep a track record. You give them, normally I would say 10 days. This is a standard thing I'm talking. 10 days, we call that reasonable, to do the repairs. Of course, each state we can talk about the parent deduct and escrow into court and when you can hold it, all that stuff. But you just don't move in and not know what the deal is. You got to know the landlord. And most times if you don't, you're going to get ran over. You're going to get walked over, I would say, from my experience, from people I've talked to. Do the move-in inspection. Do the move-in inspection. Be sure to note, if you didn't write it down at the time you moved in, anything that comes up. If it don't, you're going to be held responsible for it. If you find out later, there's a hole in that wall, I didn't see that, and you don't tell them, more than likely the landlord later on is going to say you did. If you didn't put it on the move-in inspection, they're going to hold you responsible for it and want to hold some of your deposit money. So you want to be sure to stay up on that. You don't move in and give no landlord no money without having done that, or without having your lease or anything. And sometimes you don't have to require a lease, but it depends on different states on that. But of course, you can ask questions about each state, and I can research on that particular state. I'm just giving the overall basic, in general situation here, information. So, you do that. You don't ever, under any circumstance, pay rent without getting a receipt and trust no landlord. If they aren't giving you a receipt, and they know they need to be, but if you aren't asking for a receipt, they probably going to think to themselves, I'll get her later. She ain't got no proof. If they ain't give you no receipt, they're going to try to get you later. Because a good landlord would say, let me give you a receipt. She didn't ask for one. So ask for your receipt. Make sure you get a receipt for anything you've paid. And to me, the main thing when it comes to deposit, the main thing is to do a move-in inspection. Roach infestation, mice infestation, that kind of thing, that's really illegal. They may try to say, you brought them in, it wasn't, it'll be hard to prove, isn't it? Especially you're going to keep your place clean, and you'll give them no reason. You're going to give them nothing. You're going to let them know about that place. Now, for our security deposits and all that stuff, normally they have like a month to give you a security deposit back after you've left out. But again, that depends on the state. I have known people that have moved into a place and have not did anything but just moved in and went to paying. I know how it goes about if you desperate for a place and all that, but that's one of the worst things to do, is be so desperate that you don't know nothing about the laws. The landlord tenant statutes, they're called. As far as landlords coming in anytime without giving you a notice, if it's emergency, most states they can. But otherwise, they need to give you a notice, just pop up on you and come on in. That to me, that's a violation of the privacy. You could be in there not dressed, somebody's going to come on in. No. But there's a lot of things that go with landlord tenant. As for myself, when I was very young, I had a couple evictions, no more. No. Mm-mm. Because I done researched and studied, and I'm going to know the landlord tenant statutes. I'm going to know them better than you are. I'm going to know. In fact, I'm going to keep a copy of them. You know, you're not getting ready to come. And just say, for instance, if you have a problem paying the rent, and you run into that kind of problem, especially if the landlord hasn't done anything, there's something called a counterclaim. They give you an eviction note. But let me go back a little bit. Before a landlord gives you, this is basic most states, this is basic. If a landlord wants to evict you, they normally got to give you a pay or quit notice. That means pay or quit. Give the place to me or pay the rent. And I'm not going to accept partial and all of that. There's a whole lot to that too. But again, I'm covering the basis right now. I can pick a state and come back and make a video on say, New York and give everything just for that state. But I normally just kind of wait for people to ask me for that particular state, and then I can do it. Go ahead and do it and research and go ahead and put it in there. But I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so you gotta be real careful when what you're paying, and you're paying, and they're taking a little bit. I'll give you a receipt when you get the whole amount. I'll give you the key, the this and that. No, don't give no money, period, unless you are getting a receipt. If you're not getting no receipt, you don't give no money. Well, I needed a place. I was desperate. They had me between a rock and a hard spot, blah, blah, blah. And later on, you're going to be sorry. I know you might have to have somewhere to go, but you got to just really use your head on those kind of things, As for me, I'm not getting ready to move in somewhere. I'll be without somewhere before I move in somewhere and let you take advantage of me, or move in somewhere, give you some. I'm not giving you no money if I'm not getting any receipt. I'm not giving you no money. The whole time you're living in a place, you're going to keep a record of everything. What they did, didn't do. Emails are good. Date it. Like I said, this, you back, way back. Certified memory to receipt. To me, I back it up with an email. One or the other, because emails do stand in court. Most states, it stands in court as evidence. There's something called a construction eviction, which means if they don't fix something, then they're already evicted you. But they're going to be liable for that legally, but anyway, that goes into that's some states don't call it that, some do. Constructive eviction, you've got mainly, I want you to know right now, is mainly the implied warranty of habitability. Do not continue. Call your health department, whatever. Give them notice. Tell them roaches, whatever. Mice are in there. It could be the vents under the house. There's no vents. Call the health department. Keep notes of every housing code. Keep notes of that. I had a house one time where the landlord had the meter hooked up between their place and another place, which was fire hazarded. And they had it where, since one house didn't have the meter, some kind of way, I don't know exactly how it was, but some kind of, it was illegal. And of course I had to get the fire department in there. Always take pictures of roaches, whatever it is, anything that's wrong, take pictures. But your certified mail, your knowing the implied warrant of habitability. What I was saying, I'm backtrack, if you were having a problem paying your rent, then you can work something out. Again, that goes by the state, or if they have not done anything and you can prove that, then or is it a state that the escrow thing, parent deduct, all that in there. So I want somebody to ask me or tell me about something they're going through in a particular state. And if they don't feel like researching it or something, I would be glad to, just for that state, and give that completely accurate. And right now, like I said, I'm just going bits and pieces. There's some things that are available to do, or that happens in some states. I've lived in a lot of states myself. You have something, let me see, repair and deduct, security deposits, partial rents, when the landlord doesn't have any. So there's a lot of things, depends on what's really going on. And if you do want me to help with that, is I love to research and I love to share what I learn with others. And to me, that's a part of standing up for the rights of others, is because if you don't know your rights, you don't have none. And you're going to get ran over. But to me, one of the biggies is the roach and the mice infestation. If you know that you did not cause all of that, and you're living in there and you are paying, or you stop paying because of that, because they did not do anything, you got some defenses and some counterclaims. Never, when you get an eviction note, never tack a nail. Sometimes some states you can tack it on the door, some states you can't. But if you get one, make sure that, and this is most states again, that they did the steps, pay or quit, and always answer the evictions. Always answer it within some amount of time, but answer it. Even if you didn't know what you was doing, and you didn't give no notices, and you just really didn't do right, and you said, well, she's got me. I didn't tell him. And you ain't got, you feel like you ain't got nothing on the landlord. You probably do, but just don't know it. But if you feel like you don't have nothing on them, and to me, you still answer because in the meantime, there may be something that can be done, but maybe probably not. But just know the rights. I'm here. Who's listening to this? I'm here to ask me, because I research is my thing. I love the landlord-tenant stuff, and I would love to research what you need me to research. If you don't feel like it, I love it. I love to do it. I love to share what I have learned or what I have found. Then I will share it with someone else, because I hate to see, just the landlord-tenant thing, hate to see tenants. I hear about so many tenants that have had so many things they could have sued the landlord for. They just simply got evicted, I'm like, oh my God. One time I was in eviction court, and I beat the landlord, but I was in there, and I was listening for my name was called, and years ago, and I was just hearing case. I'm like, oh man, evicted tenant. The judge was saying, okay, you got so many days to get out. I was like, wow, if only they knew. Oh, I would say something like, oh no, they could have beat that, Oh, well, they had that. That's candy. They could have. So, I hate to see that. I hate to hear that. And, with the landlord, I get you. The majority that I have known, as I hear about, are money hungry. They think it's just a one-way street. They just pay your rent, and they ain't got to do nothing but collect. No, at least it's a two-way street. They got to do certain things, keep getting paid, and you're supposed to do it. You got rights, and they got rights and responsibilities, and so do you. So it's a pet peeve of mine, I really hate when a landlord gets over on a tenant. Now, I don't want to see no tenant go over on a landlord either. I think it should be fair both ways. But what I'm used to and what I've been hearing is usually the landlord getting over on them. But it don't have to be that way. You do not have to get evicted. I don't give you a problem paying your rent. Where something can be done if you know them laws, especially if the landlord is in error for not doing anything. You might have already overpaid rent too much when you was paying. Rent abatement, it's called in a lot of states, which means they owe you. When you were paying, if they wasn't doing nothing, or if they was in error somewhere and you lived in there anyway like that, and you made it known and they didn't do it, then they owe you. You didn't pay too much, while they got the hand out waiting for you to pay some more and haven't done what they're supposed to do. So, know your rights. Know the landlord-tenant statutes. If you don't feel like looking all that stuff up and studying, just ain't feeling it, hit me up, send me a question, subscribe to my YouTube. If you don't subscribe, ask anyway, your answers will be there. And please, I'd like for you to subscribe. That would help out. You'd be helping me when you subscribe, and they're helping others. And you'll be getting your answer too. So, have a good evening, and remember, you do not have to be evicted ever again. Goodbye.